Okay, well, I've been asked to be doing this podcast for a very long time. Not something that I really thought about doing, but it seems that people seem to want to engage, so I'm reaching out. I've been doing a lot of work lately on entrepreneurship, particularly with graduate entrepreneurship and so on. And people ask me a lot of questions. So generally we're bringing this out to an audience, and we're going to keep it going from week to week. All depending on demand, of course, but it's something that people seem to be wanting, so I'm there to deliver. We've got a series of questions. You can write in prior and get the questions answered. We've got a phone line that goes as well, which I'm sure will come live at any minute. And we've also got the chat line. We are running through our Sales Mastery TV, which is on the website. We're running on Facebook. We're running on YouTube, and whatever other piece of technology that the youngsters around me have put together. So primarily what we're going to be looking to do is deal with any issues that you're having in terms of running your businesses or getting out there in terms of entrepreneurship. Those of you who know me may realise that I've spent a lot of years in the industry. Up days, bad days, good years, bad years, but always been about the people and spreading the love with the people. Some of us, it's not just about going out there and blinging it up, you know. It's about giving back and showing some love. So that's what I'm about, and really that's where I want to be, and giving you the time and energy to beat the system, because the system is there to be beat. And if you don't beat the system's going to beat you, as we see with a lot of our brothers and sisters out there. So I'm going to go in and start answering some questions now, and then from there on, just feel free to fire away. And I may not be able to get all your questions answered, but I'll try to do the best that I can in the limited time that we have. So I'm seeing we've got a question already.
Your right. Question from George.
Can you work with me like the old times? Anytime, George, as long as you're prepared to come back to boot camp and you know, get your head down. Yeah, give us a shout, inbox me, and yeah, we can work with that. Yeah, it'd be good to have you around, mate. I'm mainly based over in West London at the moment. I want to get back over east, but they don't seem to want me over there, George. You know the battles we had with acne at the time and that, and that really, you know, when you come in as hardcore as we're coming, they don't really want you in the zone, you know. So what I'm doing really, I'm just working over in West London, which I call a bit of a safe zone. I've been over here for about 7-8 years now, on the Grand, which is where I live over. I mean, I've lived over here for 20 odd years, but I've been doing a lot of community work on the Grand for some time now, and I'll be running enterprise employment over here. So if you can get over here, George, let's make it work. Yeah, do that. Just inbox me though, George, yeah? Alright, any other questions out there?
Yeah, we had one just called in. They've asked me, how do I generate more leads?
Okay, right, leads. Right. So, for those of you, depending what industry you're in, I mean, I'm going to take this and look at it from a modern perspective, and then I'm going to look at it from an old school perspective. Alright, in a modern perspective, I know a lot of people now are using social media to generate leads. Alright, now, social media is okay. Alright, it's got its strengths. But I'll give you an example. Can you really speak to somebody face to face? Or is it that you've got to put out emails or platforms and communicate from behind a screen? So, what I would say personally, yeah, social media can work. We utilize it. It works to a certain degree. But I find that the best way, especially if you're starting out at the grassroots, is to go out and meet people. Learn to communicate within yourself, you know? And we'll touch on that as I go a bit further on. But the key is really to focus on the market and the target audience that you want to get to. All right? And then think about unconventional ways that you can get to them. You know, if you're going and you're working in a conventional way, conventional ways are not really where it's at, you know? You start working with convention and then you just become one of the many, as far as I'm concerned, also ran. You really got to start to think against the grain. And when you're going against the grain, start thinking, how can I create my own model, my own formula to do it? Right? Because leads are a funny thing, really. It's about prospecting. And it's like anything, when you go hunting, because that's what you're doing, you're going hunting, you're like, what do you want to get? You know, you see a lion, it sits in the mist, it's not looking at a mouse, is it? It's looking at a big fat zebra or some baby elephant. Yeah? It looks at where the meat is on the bone, right? It might take a little bit longer to get to the bigger prize, but it sets its strategy, it sets its focus in terms of getting it. So what I would say is, yeah, social media works to a point if you want to hide behind the screen, but if you really want to get into the zone of generating leads, foot soldier. Become a foot soldier, go door to door, pound the high streets. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are networking now and doing these sort of things as well, but if you pound the high streets and really reach out to people, and when I say pound the high streets, I don't just mean pound the high streets as business to business. It could be going into a place where there's a lot of foot flow. You're with a clipboard and you're just reaching out and speaking to people, you know, because that's a skill in itself. You can reach out and speak to people, show some love, engage with people, get a feedback from people, and it's one of the most cost-effective ways you can get people to really understand what you're doing. And I'm a strong believer that you should be seen to be doing, because if you're seen to be doing, you're in the game. If you're not seen to be doing, then you're out the game. You know, there ain't no money in the office. There ain't no money sitting in your living room. The money's outside, and you got to go out and get it. All right, that's where the business is. But in terms of generating the leads, you also need to understand what sort of customer is it that you want to get to. Who is your customer? Why is it your customer? What do I hope to achieve with this customer? You know, that's a key thing, you know? And if you can start to understand that and start to prospect in a way where, even if you're just going out and promoting leaflets or speaking to people, like I said, from a clipboard, or going out door to door even, you know? Don't be scared to knock on someone's door in this day and age. What, someone's going to shut the door in your face? So what? Yeah, if you can't handle that, then you really got to start thinking where it's at. You know, and this is the difference between the old school and the new school. The new school, it's all great and wonderful, but they sit behind the screen, you know, and they prospect. And I've seen it work. I've got some good youngsters around me, and believe you me, you know, it works to a certain level. But to me, there's nothing better than going out and meeting an audience. You know, you meet yourself, free yourself, go out and meet people. You know, that's the way to do it, really. The old school way will always, as far as I'm concerned, work. And I'm a lover of that. And every now and again, even though I'm, you know, getting on now, I like to get out there, get a bit of exercise and go out and meet people. Because, you know, you don't really know what's going on in people's minds. A lot of people out there sometimes sitting behind, stressed out. I mean, just yesterday I was on High Street and I walked into a premises and met an owner of a premises who's flown back in the country, and he's got his head in his hands. He's only there for a few days, but the business right now is a bit messed up. You know, now, had I tried to get to that person through social media, it would not happen. But this person was in need. He's got 3 operations running and he was in need. So what I'm saying to you is, if you really want to reach out and generate leads, you've got to start thinking that way, in terms of foot soldier. Also, telemarketing. Now, you've got to be careful of the GDPR, right, because that's a new regulation. And I won't going to go too much into the complexities of that, but what I would say is you've got to really focus on what you're doing and think, especially when you're doing business to consumer, business to customer. Be very clear on when you're taking someone's details and engaging. But even get on the phone and speak to people, talk to people on the phone, engage with them, generate leads from that perspective. Or if you're going out networking, be sure to follow through, you know. Too many people, when they go out networking, they don't follow through. They don't see the science in the art of the sell. They just want to get the deal now. That's their focus, now for now. Well, it doesn't work like that. You know, you got to be a grafter. Yeah, you got to know where you're at. If you know where you're at, you know what time it is. You got to keep it real. You're not likely to get there in your first zone. You got to really start focusing on your pipeline. You know, a process from beginning to end. Well, they just hit me with the interrogation like, ah! That's me, as funny as it gets for me. All right, so what I'm saying is, if you're really going to go into the zone, understand what the process is and you're going through while generating that lead, and what you're going to do to make sure you qualify that lead and eventually convert the lead. You know, visualize it, understand in your mind what it is that you're doing. Don't just go out talking to people. You know, going out just talking to people and getting names and addresses. That's not the power of lead generation. You know, the power of lead generation, whether it come on the social media, whether it come on the foot soldier work, whether it come on the telemarketing, is following through, ensuring that you are able to follow through and take that person through a journey. You know, there's a build-up process. Generally, they say it could take 5 or 6 approaches to be able to get that person into a closing position. So we really need to understand when we're working with that, and that goes into everything in life. You know, perseverance seldom fails, and you know, commitment. Be committed to yourself. Understand that when you're doing something, you got to be on the button. You do not give up. You know, there's no retreat, no surrender. You got to be like a warrior. Until you've achieved your hunt, you don't come back. You got to stay out there. You got to be on the battlefield, and you got to know what time it is, know what you're about. Because it takes time, and whatever your vision, whatever your journey, even if it takes periods of years to achieve it, do not give up on it. Because lead generation is something that I hear a lot about. There's a lot of people doing companies now with lead generation. You see them from India to South Africa to all over the place. All over the place there's lead generation. Alright, but you know, the substance of it, the research I did behind it, I found it very flaky. I found they were exploiting people, taking people's money in a serious amount as well, and promising very little. You know, because a lot of these people, they talk about lead generation, but they couldn't close a deal for the life of them, you know? So you really got to understand that for you to learn the art, when you go and give your money to people, you want someone else to go and generate business for you. You yourself have to understand what that process is, what it's all about. Don't go throwing your money out there. Don't go overexerting yourself, and don't go blagging it, you know? If you're going out there and you don't really understand what you're talking about, especially in the art of selling, because you don't go to school to learn sales, let's face it, you know? You learn that on the battlefield. So if you can actually go out and represent yourself, more important, and understand before you go out there what the art of selling is about, because it is an art, there's a science in it, then you know what time it is in terms of generating leads. So I'm hoping that's answered your question. I haven't drilled on too much about it, but the reason why I kind of overextended on it is because I'm hearing this day in, day out. How do I generate leads? How do I generate leads? I need leads. Right, so you get leads, and then the headache after that is, can I close the lead? You know? But my question to you is, can you sell? Alright, because if you can't sell, why are you asking yourself how you generate leads? If you actually take some time out and learn how to sell, then you might find generating leads comes a lot easier, you know? Rather than scratching your head and thinking it's going to fall off a tree. Leads ain't like trees, you know? Leads don't just fall off like that and you go around picking them up, you know? In this day and age, you've got to understand, you've got to craft yourself, you've got to understand what it's about. And if you're really going into the game of entrepreneurship and really want to be a true force in terms of representing your business as a sales leader, you yourself have to make sure that you're bringing it home, you know? And if you can bring it home and get it right, then you'll know what time it is to yourself. But when you go home at night and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you say, what have I really achieved? What have I really done today? You know, have I really achieved what I set out to achieve? You know, have I really put that effort in? And once you can be honest to yourself, you know, whether you have or you ain't, don't matter, because you can always improve, and that's the key. There's always room for improvement. Then you know you can make that progress towards generating leads. But it's about self-development, you know, self-representation, you know, self-worth, because you've got to be able to take the rejection. So how do you generate more leads? Learn to deal with rejection, learn the art of selling, and learn how to close. Hopefully that answers your question.
We had a few more questions, so I'll go with the first one of many. How do I communicate more effectively?
That's an interesting one. All right, communication. All right, well, I can tell you the first thing. Yeah, be yourself. As you can see, those of you who know me over the years, I don't change. I'm not about to come talking to you like I've got a silver spoon in my mouth. Those who do it and they do it well, good luck to them. You know, but that's not how I feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable that way. So the first thing in communication is feeling comfortable. All right, being yourself. If you feel the need to go and learn, you know, things like etiquette and all these kind of things, you know, elocution classes and all that, you're disturbing me over there. All right, it's the way forward is to actually get to understand the core elements from within you. So, all right, example, all right? Without me getting into the ultra science work, example, all right? When you're sending out information, all right, the person on the other side is got to receive the message. If they don't receive it, communication is ineffective. Simple as that. Right? Ineffective. So how do you encode it? So if I say to you, na io studio italiano alla università per 2 anni, adesso così così, if you don't speak Italian, right, you're not going to understand what I've said to you. You understand my point? Right? Because you're unable to decode that information. Now, if I say to you, I went to university for 2 years, and at that time, you know, I learned Italian over that time. In that language that you understand, you're going to be able to decode that. So when you're sending out information, you have to think about how you're encoding your message to the person on the other side. Now, this is the core behind the power of communication, artful communication, because the medium in between is the interconnector, it's the bridge, right? Now the person on the other side, and you've got to learn to put yourself on the other side, is decoding, right? And when they've decoded effectively, right, they have received that information. Now this is the key. You think, because you've said it, they understand it. But for you to understand that they have received that message effectively, you've got to have 2 ears on your head, right? So you've got to listen to what they're saying,